Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 255 of Your Take Two podcast. I just had to check to make sure. I'm like, wait a minute, am I doing the intro? Yes, I am. It's yeah, okay. But we're back together. Brian's here. I'm here. I'm glad you guys stuck with us last week. Great episode, by the way, Brian. He snuck a little interview in there. He was like, I'm not going to get a special guest star. I'm just going to get a Hollywood star to do an interview with me on my episode. So I think you won up to me there. But yeah, great job in the episode. Thanks for holding down the fort. And then this week, you're here, but I'm going to be holding down the fort for the most part. Yeah. I watched everything. I watched everything while I was gone. So I'm ready to catch up on tons of stuff. And you can just sit there and listen to me talk now.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of that because we have 12 reviews today. I watched 3 of the 12 that we will be discussing today. Welcome back, Tony. Thanks for taking a week off. Don't ever do it again. But yeah, last week was fun, but now we're back to our tried and true You and I Together, Ep255. It's going to be fun. Like I just mentioned, folks, 12 reviews. We have White Lotus. We're going to be recapping a couple of episodes of the Untold series, Mandalorian, that making of the finale, 9 Perfect Strangers, Snake Eyes, American Horror Story, another American Horror Story. You're going to have to explain that to me. Bob Ross, the movie Annette, No Man of God, Memories of a Murderer, and a partridge in a frickin' pear tree. We are loaded this week. For those of you who took last week off for listening and now are back listening, don't think I didn't see those numbers. I saw. You guys took last week off. It's fine. Welcome back. I'm not taking it personal. It's totally cool. Tony's hair. Look at that. Freudian slipperoo. Freudian. I meant to say here, but you YouTubers, if you just check this bad boy out. Woo! It's not like you don't live with a stylist or anything. It actually looks...
This is bedhead, baby. This is bedhead.
That's what it is? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
We have a loaded show for you guys. Before we get rocking and rolling, I want you guys to go back into your feeds when you're done with 255. The Realm of Take Two dropped over the weekend. Our monthly spin-off series. Roy from The Realm dropped his August edition of The Realm of Take Two. Give that a whirl. Also,
it was very Roy-esque too. Like definitely stuff we will not cover here. All like anime, movies, and stuff. So if you're looking for that fix, that sci-fi fantasy fix, get on The Realm every month because it's good. It's good for that stuff we won't talk about.
Patreon, we have 12 reviews today, yet there's a whole other show devoted to things we won't talk about. Patreon members, Roy, Craig, Gerald, Vaughn, Ryan, Katz, and Chris. You guys are the elite of the elite. If other listeners want to join them, it's only $1 a month. You just got a fun episode this past Friday. It's in your feeds now, all about twin films, a little curious nuance that Hollywood does every now and then where you get 2 movies, same genre, same plot topic, same etc. in the exact same year. It's like, why would they do that? Why did they make 2 movies about a volcano exploding, both coming out within a month of each other? We don't know. It just happens. But Tony and I broke it all the way down, all the way back to the 30s. We dove deep onto that episode. Join our Patreon today if you want to listen.
Yeah, it was a fun discussion, and for longtime listeners, like we said, that's something we've referenced for years now and kind of talked about and danced around. So we're like, hey, screw it. Let's discuss it in depth finally.
I think, sir, maybe we should just get going. No chit-chat.
Yeah, it might be a long episode this week. Yeah, let's get right into it. So what do we start off with here? Poll results for the week?
Do it.
All right, the poll results for this week, actually a really good response, except for one person who was, 90 votes just on Twitter alone, lots of interaction on, Instagram as well. Facebook took another week off, so I guess cool. Thanks, guys. But like I said, one person in particular was negative, and I do want to shout this out because this person has also made a statement to say, like, be positive and support others, but then at the same time was being very negative to me. So I don't get that. I'm all for supporting independent podcasters. So if you're going to listen to the show or things like that, or if you're another host of another show and you have an issue with something, bring it to their attention on the side. Don't put them on blast out in Front Street. That's just my opinion. That's my PSA for the day. I would never do that to somebody else. So I did take a little bit of offense to that.
Was it me?
No. That person doesn't listen anyways, I don't think. So, but whatever. Practice what you preach, I guess, is what it is at the end of the day, right? So, that aside...
now I need to scroll back through our socials and see what happened.
The voting results for the week. I asked, what is your favorite black-led horror film? Because we had Candyman out this week. And, Colby actually was quick to jump on and say, there aren't very many options. And he's right. And, of course, the regular poll only limits me to 4. I picked 4 diverse ones pretty much from different time periods, different eras. So the choices were Night of the Living Dead, People Under the Stairs, Get Out, and the original Candyman. Or I guess if you wanted to throw the new one in there, you could have chose that one as Candyman either way, because I didn't really specify. But the results I think we're what you think it was going to be. Get Out wins. I think most people, and it's most recent, that's going to be the one people choose. And Jordan Peele is kind of like ushering in this new era of black-led horror, and specifically those kind of films. So that's good. Night of the Living Dead came in second. I would have liked to see that one be number one because that truly is kind of like the first one to set the table for this and have a black lead. And it had political commentary to it as well for the time that it was made. And being a Romero fan, like going back and listening to him be interviewed about that, he claims he didn't cast a black lead on purpose, that it was just he was the best guy that came in and auditioned for the job, which is the way it should be. But if you watch the movie and you see some of the social commentary going on there, it plays better because it is a black actor in the lead. So I don't know if I believe him there. But anyways, then Candyman came in third and People Under the Stairs fourth, which makes sense. I feel like People Under the Stairs, underseen, very kind of like under the radar as far as horror movies. It's a Wes Craven film. People should see it. It's very good. So if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you seek it out. Colby, besides giving that shout out there saying there aren't very many films, I said, well, give me some other ones. If there's other ones I missed, throw them out. So he gave a couple options. Demon Knight, The Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, which is Jada Pinkett stars in that, a little anthology film. Good call by him, as well as Freddy vs. Jason. I said that's a little bit of a stretch for me. I feel like the stars of the movie are Freddy and Jason, not just the side characters that get killed off.
That wouldn't have come to my mind thinking of this realm.
Yes. So, and it was, what's her name, was it like a singer? Who is it that's in that movie? I forget. Not really like a star of the movie.
No, that one wasn't Brandy.
No, it wasn't Brandy. Was it one of the Destiny's Child people maybe or something? I don't know.
Oh, it could have been.
Yeah. So anyways, those were his comments there. Craig on Instagram said also Blackula he threw out as another option, so good on him. That's a good call. Gidget joined up on Twitter. Her and Invasion of the Remake kind of went back and forth. I was pretty happy to see that conversation on our poll. Yeah. She said she loves the OG Candyman, but does shout out People Under the Stairs for originality. And then also Invasion of the Remake said People Under the Stairs would be their choice as well. And I pulled up, they kind of, like I said, went back and forth on it, and they said, I've never seen such a challenging poll where all the choices are good, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So good. Thank you for, shouting that out. All four worthy picks there. Yeah. Keith at the Movies, he's a new kind of shout out for us. He said Night of the Living Dead. That's an easy choice. Game for a Movie. Yeah. Game for a Movie podcast. They said three of those choices are amazing. They hadn't seen People Under the Stairs, but the other three are amazing. I agree.
Thank you for your honesty, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. A lot of discussion, a lot of quote tweets and inner talking between people. So great poll this week. I wasn't sure how it was going to be received, but I'm glad it was successful.
Yeah, lovely. Kelly Rowland, you are accurate on your guess.
I was close, yep.
Freddy vs. Jason. Every Thursday, folks, that poll drops. Some weeks they are amazing. They're thought-provoking. They stir up the conversation like this week. Other weeks, like last week, not so much.
Okay. We got tons of interaction.
Last week was all the Facebookers. That's the only time we drew out the Facebook crowd was to make
talking about your bald head.
Yeah. Of my head. That's okay. Let's move along, shall we, into the box office.
Sure. Box office. And I just noticed I screwed you up because your notes said I should have done this first. So I'm sorry. Thanks for rolling with the punches.
255 eps. We're still making it work.
Still figuring it out. All right, the box office for this week, I think, was actually encouraging, I'm going to say, because the number one film beat expectations again, and that's Candyman, $22.4 million on a budget of $25 million. The original film actually only made $25.8 its entire run. So
nice.
This movie's already basically making back its budget and beating the original. So awesome. Got to love to see it. Also, the great news from the day was that Nia DaCosta is now the first black female director to have a film debut at number one ever.
Wow.
So that's amazing. So
wow. Nice.
Huge accomplishment for her. I immediately fact-checked this. I was like, wait a minute. What about Ava DuVernay? There's got to be a couple. Ava DuVernay came in twice, two times, with Selma and Wrinkle in Time, both debuted at number two. And then also Love and Basketball debuted at number two back in the day. But that was it. So Nia DaCosta, now the most successful, I guess, black female director in only, her third film?
Nia. Yeah.
Good on her. And doesn't she have an upcoming Marvel movie coming her way also? So I think she'll probably debut at number one again.
She's doing The Marvels.
Yeah, so she'll have another number one movie very soon.
Well, I'm glad she got it on this, though. You know what I mean? Because then people can be like, well, that was Marvel.
Oh, it's because it was, writing it off, yeah. Okay, so number 2 is Free Guy, 13.6. It's sitting 79 domestic, another 100 overseas for a 179.6 worldwide. That's a pretty good total. And I think I saw that it only dropped like 27% or something, and this is its third weekend. So that's not bad. I'm wondering if that's just kind of good word of mouth for, kids getting ready to go back to school. It hits that teen audience real well, that movie.
Sure.
I think in your review, you were a little higher on it than me. I liked it. It was fine, but I didn't love it. Kids really liked it, though. I took the kids to see it. They really liked it. So, and word of mouth builds with like, oh, my favorite YouTuber was in the movie and all this stuff. And the kids love that crap. So, and
that's
Ryan Reynolds is who he is.
He is dreamy. That's what I was thinking. If I was a gamer or a YouTuber, I bet I would absolutely
really
enjoy
like
that.
it.
Yeah. So that's probably that to what you're saying. If I could say words, yes.
And he's already kind of confirmed there's talks already about doing another one as well.
Ooh,
so
really?
Yeah. He said apparently he put something on his socials saying that Disney is interested in another one or whatever. My only concern with that movie, this is a little bit of a sidebar, is that was the test for PG-13 Ryan Reynolds comedy in this universe. So are we going to get Deadpool now? Does this justify like we can move Deadpool into the other Marvel movies and just make him, more restricted? I don't know if I want that, but how else do you get him to play along with the other Marvel characters and make it work?
True.
So, third place was Paw Patrol. You saw it last week. Did not really give your thoughts, right? But that made 6.6 million, which I'm shocked at how much this is making. They said it was kind of not doing well, but 6.6 million, and it's made 24 in a week and a half. That's amazing. Another 37.8 overseas, so it's a 61.9 worldwide for Paw Patrol, and it's available at home too, right? It's on Paramount Plus, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Insane. So I think that movie is going to be pretty successful, and it is probably the most famous like kids show really right now, don't you think? Like it's pretty popular.
Yeah.
As far as 100%. Kids shows. Yeah.
I mean the money speaks, and Chase is on the case. So.
Sure. Fourth place was Jungle Cruise, 5 million this weekend. Guess what? That puts it over 100 domestic. Only the fifth film in the COVID era to be able to accomplish that, so that's a big success for them. Maybe we will get that Jungle 2s that's looking a little more, too cruise, too furious, whatever.
I'm surprised The Rock didn't hype that.
Make a big deal. Yeah.
Hit 100 million.
Yeah. That made another 86.9 overseas, so it's at 187 worldwide. That probably is getting close to breaking even, I guess. 187 worldwide. That's probably close, right?
I guess so. Sure. Yeah.
And then fifth place, Don't Breathe 2, another 2.8 million, 24.6 domestic, 10 overseas, 10.7 overseas for a 35.3 worldwide. Not too bad for a low-budget horror. There was a whole article I read this week, I think it was on Forbes, that said all these films are bombing these big box office things with big budgets. Horror is the only thing that's been successful this year, if you think about it. Conjuring, Don't Breathe, Candyman now. All these horror films are made for like 20 million or less. And they're making the bank, and they're the only ones that are being successful and really saving the box office this year. I saw something that said even this weekend was, I think, 56% of what the same weekend was in 2019. So
wow,
that's a pretty decent drop, for this COVID era, whatever. So
I guess the only horror.
Thank God for cheap horror. I was going to say.
Woohoo! I was just the only horror that hasn't made it Space Jam 2.
Yeah, but that costs too much money. That's why.
But back to your lead off with Candyman, though. I mean, in my opinion, this speaks volumes. This is great. Just our poll and what Colby was even mentioning. We have a black-led film here. They don't make a lot of money. Just real talk. They normally do not make a lot of historically. And then with a black director as well, female black director as well. In that realm, it's the fourth largest final August weekend opening of all time.
Really? Okay, I didn't see that. That's impressive, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. And because normally this is not a weekend that people go to. They're packing up their backpacks and get, I guess
it's like the weekend before Labor Day. Labor Day is more like the bigger one.
Yeah, I guess,
people are still going to the beach
ready
and
for
things,
school and stuff.
Right,
last beaches and stuff. But I guess maybe folks were like, hey, one last hurrah before school starts. A different mindset this time around. But good on them. That's awesome. That's a great sign. I hope you're absolutely right. I mean, we're going to Labor Day weekend next weekend, so we'll have a lot of box office to talk about next week, of course. Yeah, see how that goes.
Fingers crossed, man. I really hope that is a successful film. We already have plans to go just to try and help the box office. Like, I want to go and make my money heard at the box office. Like, we still want these films to be made, So
your fingers weren't crossed.
I was going like that.
That's crossed? Wait, it's like this is gonna make people go to YouTube just for your hair and arthritis. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. It's like Roy Kent.
Yeah. All right, folks. I'm sorry. You're done with the box office. We're good to go.
Yes, I'm done.
Yeah.
When I make a Led Tasso reference, we're done.
When we're done with the box office, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Now let's move on to these reviews again. We do this no matter the show, but the timestamps are down there for you. So if you do need to jump around, especially there are a couple of films in here that just were released and whatnot. If you want to skip past those, come on back later after you've seen them. Please do so. Check our show notes or our social media later on this week below. We're going to lead things off with Annette.
Yeah, and I'm a little disappointed that you didn't get a chance to watch this one because I think this would be a really interesting conversation for sure. This movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long. It is available on Prime right now. They did give it a limited theatrical release for like a week or two before, I think, for maybe awards considerations and things like that, I guess. I don't know if this is going to be anything that you remember come awards time, to be honest, for me. This movie didn't hit for me. It was very weird, and I didn't love it. I'm historically on record as not loving musicals where every piece of dialogue needs to be sang.
Ooh. I'm not going to talk the wife into watching it now.
And this is one of those movies where it's just like every word needs to be sang kind of thing. And I don't love those. It's very dreamlike fantasy, like rock opera almost, the way that it's set up and the songs and stuff. This is the English language debut of director Leos Carax. The film was written and the music was written by Sparks, which we talked about the Sparks documentary earlier this year. And I kind of dig on some of their music. I like their music, whatever. For the most part here, these songs are forgettable. I didn't really love a lot of the songs. And I don't feel like the movie needs to be as long as it is. It's a pretty simple story at the end of the day, so I don't think it needed to be 2 hours and 15 minutes. And like I said, the music's a little forgettable for me. It opens up with a really good sequence, though. Like the opening of the film, I was like, ooh, okay, we got like a long one-shot kind of thing going on. The song is actually probably the best song of the movie and more memorable. It's called So May We Start. And it has a little bit of like a meta quality to it as well, because Sparks is in there, the director is in there, actually being himself. Like, so there's like a little meta quality to it at the beginning. I was like, okay, this is unique. At least I'll give it credit for that. I might be on board for this. This may be something I like. I like unique, weird stuff, you know.
Sure.
I don't know, man. I think just the singing, the dialogue, all that stuff really took me out of it. Adam Driver, I love you. I just don't know that you're a good singer, man. Like. It's rough to watch. You know, he gives a good performance. He does, because he's a pretty despicable person in this movie. And I think he does a good job playing that. But I just didn't need to see him singing every word that he said. That part right there really sticks with me and sets us apart. Also, in the movie, I don't remember this from the trailer, but the baby in the movie, Annette, who is the title character, is played by a puppet for 90% of the movie.
What?
I don't remember that in the trailer. I know we watched the trailer. We talked about it. So maybe I missed it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention close enough. It was in the trailer. But good on them for keeping that as kind of like a little bit of a surprise for the movie. And it actually worked pretty well, to be honest. Like the puppetry looked good and it was well done. And it kind of mixed into this like fantasy dreamlike world in a good way. So there are good things about this movie. This is just a hard movie for me to recommend to anybody to watch. Unless you are really weird and like this kind of thing that I'm describing, I can't recommend it for everybody, man. Like, I just don't know if it's that good of a movie. But there are goods to be had. The performances are good. Marianne Cotillard is really only in the movie for about half of it. So if you're going in for her, you're not going to see as much of her as maybe as you thought. And she's definitely a better singer than Adam Driver. So that is also a little bit of a letdown, because it's like, ooh, I like her singing, but now she's gone for half the movie. So, and then I will shout out Simon Helberg, who was on Big Bang Theory. Is kind of like the only thing I really know. He is pretty good here. Like, I think he maybe is trying to say, like, hey, remember me, and maybe he can get, like, a film career going, because I don't really remember him being in much besides Big Bang Theory. So,
no, I was curious your thoughts. I was curious his performance in this, because I remember when he was on Bang and he would do interviews, and then he would do impressions, and he would do all sorts of characters, like, outside of the character he did on Big Bang, and it was like, holy crap, this dude's really super talented. What's he going to do next? So was it good in this?
And maybe I'm not familiar with him because I didn't really watch Big Bang, or I'm not familiar with anything else he's really done. But he impressed me here. He was kind of like surprising for the movie and to be in here. So good on him. I hope that this maybe spurns him into some more roles out of this. But Yeah, man, it's just a weird movie. If you go into it, I mean, don't expect a regular musical by any means. It's very strange. It's very original. It is like well shot. I guess I think the director won at Cannes for Best Director, if I'm not mistaken. So
interesting.
There is something visually to be had here, and there's something interesting about watching it. So I still do recommend checking it out just to get your opinion on it and be like, okay. But go in with that knowing like this is a weird, wild ride for sure. So.
Okay. I'm intrigued because I do want to watch it. My only question is the puppeted baby better than American Sniper's puppeted baby?
Yes, 100%. Because it's not even a puppet. That was just like a doll.
That was just a Cabbage Patch doll.
The way that they use it and the way it works, you'll understand after you watch it.
Okay.
And then in the last part of the movie, they actually substitute in the doll for an actual actress who plays and has like one scene which is actually really well done by her, this young actress. So that was interesting that they did that too, kind of in the last little bit of it. So check it out, but just know that it's not going to be one of my favorites. It's not going to be my top 10 of the year or anything like that. I don't love this movie. I actually kind of don't like it, but there are some goods to be had, and I just give it props for the performances and the originality of it overall. It makes it worth seeing.
Rock and roll. All right, how about No Man of God? Is this worth seeing?
Yes, but again, with a caveat. I am a big horror guy, true crime guy. I've seen multiple movies about Ted Bundy. I know everything there is to know about Ted Bundy. I've listened to podcasts, I've read books, whatever. So if you're going into this to learn more about Ted Bundy, you're not going to. There's not really anything new that you learn here. Unless you're a complete noob to Ted Bundy, then maybe this will hit you differently. And you'll be like, okay, I didn't know Ted Bundy. This is creepy, whatever. For me, though, 90% of this movie is just two people talking in a room. So it can be very boring in that way and slow. Sure. I don't like Elijah Wood. Let me just put that stamp down right now. I don't think he's a good actor. I really don't. I don't know what he's been good in. Like, I don't care for the Lord of the Rings movies, of course. But what else have we seen him in that he's been, like, truly impressive? I can't think of anything.
I have to get back to you.
Exactly. So
what was with him in Culkin, the good son, the bad son?
Yeah, good son. Or North. He was in North.
Yeah, amazing in North.
But that's as a child actor. You know what I mean? Like now, I just don't see the qualities there, and I feel like he's somewhat almost miscast because he's supposed to be this like FBI profiler who's interviewing Ted Bundy on death row. The last couple of years that he's on death row, he creates this basically like a friendship with Ted Bundy. They really have a good rapport, and he's trying to get Ted Bundy to give more details about his crimes so they can find these women that have been murdered that nobody knows where the bodies are, things like that. Like, let's give some closure to these women because basically there were like 30 cases, I think, that Ted Bundy had killed women and they didn't know like where the bodies are or anything. Let's get closure for these families. Let's get you to like, you're going to die anyways. You're already on death row. Let's get you to just confess to these other ones as well. Because he was only convicted of like a couple cases. And they were like, well, let's just close all the rest of these cases. And that's what the point of the movie is, like, to get him to talk. So I don't know if Elijah Wood was the best
Silence of the Lambs-y?
Yeah, but there's no tension because it's just the two of them in a room and they're friendly to each other.
Okay.
So it kind of nips it in the bud in that way. I will give a lot of props to Luke Kirby. Luke Kirby, who plays Bundy, is fantastic. He looks spot on Ted Bundy, and he does a really good job. I would say better than Zac Efron in that other thing we watched on Netflix. Now, that one I thought was a little bit better as far as maybe being a thriller or maybe seeing a little bit more of Ted Bundy's mindset and what he did. This was just a lot of talking for, an hour and a half, whatever. So it's okay. I just didn't love it. And I feel like going into it, I knew so much about Bundy that I didn't learn anything really new. So to me, that also kind of was boring. So watch it with that caveat in mind, I guess.
He really is in some of your most hated films. He's also in Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2. This is why you hate this man.
The only thing I can think of that I liked him in was Come to Daddy, which most people did not see.
Gotcha.
And he was also in a remake of Maniac, which I think, was that what he was in? Remake of Maniac, I think? Is that what it's called?
So, yeah. I like the movie Forever Young, Mel Gibson.
Yeah, but he's a kid actor.
He's a kid. Yeah.
He just hasn't made that transition to being like a good adult actor, I don't feel. And I know Lord of the Rings fans are yelling at me, but I'm on record as hating those movies, so screw you. And I don't think that movie's good.
Well, I mean, okay, forget that aspect. If we're talking about the acting performances, I mean, Sean Astin should have been the one getting supporting actor nominated for those films. I don't think anybody came away with Elijah Wood's performances going nuts.
Yeah, Sean Astin was the best power bottom on film. Okay.
We'll just move on. All right, I already know your thoughts on this, but maybe we can tease our listeners here because Tony finally, guys, got around to seeing Snake Eyes.
Yeah, which actually I'm a little down on for another reason that I just learned. This is coming to Paramount Plus. It was in that 45-day window, Paramount Plus. So I actually saw it like on demand, but when I could have waited like another week or two and just got it on Paramount Plus or whatever. But so I will go into my review saying, wait for the Paramount Plus. Don't pay anything to see this movie because it's not very good, guys. It's an origin reboot kind of style movie where, hey, we want to keep G.I. Joe going. How do we do it? Let's introduce this character who's always been famous, Snake Eyes. People love the character, whatever. And let's do it the right way. Let's do it with like Asian heritage and lore to it. I get all that aspect. I give them props for trying to do it the right way, whatever. To me, they missed the mark on making this a G.I. Joe movie. In no way does this really feed into like a larger thing. It does a very, very little bit, but it didn't make me excited for like, oh, cool, where are we going next? Where's this movie going? Where are the other characters? Where are we going to get G.I. Joe in here? Where are we going to get Cobra Commander? Those kind of things. It's very like ancillary talked about. You could almost edit the film and take those small references out, and this would just be Snake Eyes, period, no other reference to anything, which I think is a missed opportunity. If you want to start a new franchise over, why wouldn't you have teases? Why wouldn't you have mid-credit, post-credit scenes that are setting up more or whatever?
Sure.
You have Samara Weaving cast in this as, is it Lady Jane or whatever? Is like a pretty big character in G.I. Joe. She's wasted in the film. She doesn't even show up till halfway through, and then she's only in like two to three scenes. It's like, why would you waste that character and that actress? That's stupid. Henry Golding, I like him. I've really only seen him in Crazy Rich Asians. I know he was in The Gentleman. I never caught up with it. He's fine. He's decent. I don't know if he was even rightly cast. I don't know if he sells Snake Eyes as a persona for me. And nobody really jumps to mind that I would have liked to see in the role instead, but I just don't know if he was great for it. This is a $100 million budget. It made 37 at the box office. This is a bomb. I think they missed the opportunity to make it more G.I. Joe. I think they're not going to create a franchise going forward with this. This is just going to be another forgotten film, in history, like the first two G.I. Joes were. I mean, I thought the first one was decent, and then the second one was even worse. Didn't they try to bring like The Rock in and all that stuff in the second one? Those movies just weren't great, and I think this is actually the worst of all three of them that I've seen of the G.I. Joe movies. There's a couple good action scenes and good fight choreography here or there, but also some of them are bad in my opinion because they were like that close, shaky cam, quick edit style in a lot of it, and I'm like, that doesn't show skill to me. I want to see a good fight scene, good fight choreography. There was one in particular I did really like that was kind of like a long take action sequence with like a swooping camera motion, whatever. Like that was well done. There was maybe like one that was like that. There's some cool like electric motorcycles, and there's like a scene, like a chase scene with that. So there were some decent little action scenes to be had. But overall, that's about it. The story did not grab me. I could care less about the characters, and nothing made me want to see the future of this franchise. So I would stay away from it, or if you're going to watch it, just watch it at home on basic cable or on your Paramount, whatever, where you don't have to pay extra for it.
It's funny you say that about Golding because I feel like his last couple of films has been that way. Like the Last Christmas movie he was in with Khaleesi. Yeah. But same thing, I was like, well, he's fine here, but I don't know if he's the right casting for this spot. The Gentleman the same way. I mean, he was fine there, but maybe he wasn't the right guy for that role type thing.
Yeah, and I hate to do that because I'm all for diversity in casting and things like that. And obviously you want an Asian actor in this role, so that's good.
Right. Sure.
Those other ones we talked about, he didn't have to be an Asian guy. It was just like he got the part, so that's good. And I want to buoy him up and get him more jobs for sure.
He's a good actor, sure.
He just hasn't blown me away. Crazy Rich Asians was the only thing I really liked him in, so maybe he just needs to be more in that style film, not this. I just don't know if he's an action blockbuster lead,
So do you think the Shang-Chi folks are happy that this is not doing well?
I hope so. I hope that this Shang-Chi comes out and just blows us away. I hope that it's really good.
Yeah, it's getting good early looks, but you wonder if they're thinking like, oh, we have another similar
competition.
Style,
the twin films like we just talked about. It is very similar to that where somebody beat you out to the punch, had their film out first. That's Asian, related horror, action, or not horror, but action, all that stuff. Yeah, so we'll see, but I'm looking forward to next weekend.
All right, let's get into something that we both watched together and waited a minute so that you and I could chit-chat together on, because this actually wrapped up 2 weeks ago, but this is The White Lotus.
Yeah, I've actually had to look back last night. I'm like, wait a minute, I kind of forgot like what happened exactly in the show because it's been so long. We watched it the day that we recorded last time, so it's been 2 weeks since we talked about it. On our first take, I love the show. I love the show. I still love the show. I still have been recommending it to people. I will say the finale maybe let me down a little bit from where I was hoping the show would go. How did you feel about
that? Yes. 100%. I thought some things wrapped in a nice, tidy bow that I didn't want to wrap in a tidy bow from the drama it was creating.
And I feel like the tease from the first episode of somebody dying and whatever wasn't necessarily what I wanted, or I didn't like the way that it played out.
Definitely not the person I wanted to die either.
No. So I will leave it. Yeah, I'll leave it with that. I don't want to like spoil that aspect of it, but we'll put that in there. I will say, however, Murray Bartlett I loved in this show. He's a takeaway. He's a dream from this. I'd love to see him. Yeah, I would love to see him get more work. He was great. Steve Zahn also. Hey, remember him? He's great. Why don't we have more Steve Zahn and things? I forgot how good he is and how much I liked him. I hope this gets him more roles because he was great in here. I feel like he was pigeonholed in like that early 2000s into like the silly comedy roles, but he's good here, man. He's good just being dramatic and stuff. Get Steve Zahn more roles. As well as Natasha Rothwell. I really liked her. She played the girl that worked at the spa. Linda. Yeah. I thought she was really good. She was a writer on SNL. She's been a writer on Insecure. She was in Sonic, if you remember in Sonic, where they tie her up in the chair and she tells the daughter, like, put my Fitbit on while she's running around. Like she was one of the little like comedic highlights of Sonic. So I like her too. I think she's another up-and-comer. She actually has a show coming at HBO that she's going to be writing, producing, and starring in herself. So look out for her. She's going to be somebody else to hopefully be successful off this.
Her final scene with Jennifer Coolidge was top-notch. It was really well done.
She's really good, yeah. That's my one big negative of the show, I feel like, is Jennifer Coolidge to me.
Could have done completely without her the whole way, to be honest.
And we just got too much of her. Too much of her. I didn't really like her. They tried to add in John Grease after the first episode and get him in there as like a side character. That helped her story arc a little bit. As well as Molly Shannon. She kind of got thrown in here a little bit. She's fine, whatever. I hate Jake Lacy. Hate Jake Lacy in the show. I know you're supposed to hate him. That's great that they did that. They wrote the character well, and it was performed well.
Yes.
So he is despicable. God, do I hate that guy. So great job on that. And that's maybe my big negative of the show is that most of the characters on the show you don't like. Besides those three I highlighted, it's like the rest of them suck.
Sure. No, 100%.
They're just despicable people, you know. So I don't know. It's a really good show. I've recommended it to a lot of people. I like the format. Only 6 episodes. I'm looking forward to doing more of this as anthology style. I want to see who else they can bring on and if they can hit lightning in a bottle again with this. It almost reminded me of like Knives Out in a way, you know, with like a decent cast and a mystery. And if we're going to do that with the Knives Out films as well. So this could be like the same kind of thing. I really love the score also for this movie. I can't stop my review without talking about that. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Cristobal Tapia de Veer did a great job. He's done one of the episodes of Black Mirror. He did The Third Day that we just watched, Girl with All the Gifts. So I love the music here. It very much gave like a Hawaiian feel to it, but also added to some of the tension in parts too, just the way that they use the music and stuff. So really like that. And then Mike White, the creator of the show, why don't we get more from him? Like, he's only directed a couple films, couple shows, not a lot. I think this is original. This is really well written. Give him a big movie. I want to see more from him.
Is he involved in season 2, I hope?
I hope so. Yeah. At the very least, a producer, I would guess. But I hope he's involved with the writing as well. So, anything else? I know I kind of took away the conversation there.
No, it's fine. I thought Daddario and Britton, I thought the scene with the two of them together, like she meets, someone that she admires, she meets the other writer, and then it's like, like a celebrity meeting, and then they start chatting, and then they find out that, their political views don't line up, and it's like timeout. And then I thought that was a fun scene between them, like an awkward, fun scene. The two of them carried off well. There's one other note that I had, and I forgot what it was. Sydney Sweeney. We'll talk about Sydney Sweeney again in the trailers, actually. It looks like her career is... It's moving.
Taking off.
It's moving
forward. Yeah, and I thought she was really good at this. Mom, cringe. I really liked her in the show. And Daddario actually surprised me a little bit because we don't really see her do a lot of acting. I feel like most roles she's given, she doesn't get the chance, or she's just there for eye candy, as it were, or whatever. She got a chance to act here in quite a few scenes.
Okay looking, I guess.
Yeah, but I thought she did an admirable job.
I did too.
And Connie Britton, whatever, she's Connie Britton. Everything she's in, she's basically the same to me, but she does her job. She's good, whatever. So. I also liked Lucas Gage, he's Dylan, like the worker at the hotel that kind of has the thing.
Okay. Sure.
He was good. He was in that American Vandal that we watched, the Who Drew the Dicks thing.
Yes.
So good to see him kind of do some more stuff, and I thought he was good in it. A couple nice side characters. What a great ensemble, though. I love a show like this, a small, limited series with a great ensemble. Give me these all day. I will watch every single one of them.
Season 2, you have a little bar that's been set, especially Murray Bartlett. I thought his character, his performance. Like, watch the series, folks, just for his character alone. I think he's fantastic.
Yes. And I guess he's big. He's an Australian actor who's been big in Australia, but bring him over. Put him in more stuff over here, because I thought he was great.
Sign me up. All right, there you go, guys. We're wrapping up White Lotus. That's on HBO Max, by the way, for you folks. You can check that out there, all 6 episodes, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. All right, so American Horror Stories.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you got it right. American Horror Stories I'm going to talk about right now. And I already talked about this in a first take. This is a new thing that they started this season where they're just going to do a small, more anthology style where each episode is going to be different, focusing on just one story. As opposed to the old show where they did the whole season in a season-long format. This is just standalone episodes of little horror stories. And they're very, like, tropey. You can pick out, like, oh, this is almost like a remake of an old movie that was made or whatever,
Okay.
In my first take, I talked about the first 2 episodes were released. They both took place in that murder house, which was the first season of American Horror Story. So I didn't love those. They were okay. They kind of went back to the well and said, hey, this worked for us before. We want to revisit our most famous first season, whatever. That's fine. I didn't love those 2 episodes. The next 4 episodes after that were really cool. They were standalone episodes. One of them was at a drive-in movie theater where this couple was going to see a supposed cursed film where if everyone sees it, they decide to kill everyone around them, whatever. So
why would you go to that? Why would anybody attend that?
I loved it. It was amazing, and it was actually directed by the co-director of Blair Witch, the original Blair Witch, Eduardo Sanchez, I believe his name is.
Okay.
So that was cool to see him do. So it's just like a little mini horror movie. I thought that one played out well. The second one was called Naughty List, and it was about these douchey YouTube influencers who get their comeuppance from an evil Santa, who is played by Danny Trejo. So amazing. Danny Trejo as Evil Santa, I will take all day. And that one was actually directed by Max Winkler, who, if you recognize that name, Henry Winkler's kid.
No kidding.
So that was cool. The third one was called Baal, and it was starring Billy Lord, and she's dealing with, she can't get pregnant, one of these things. She gets this little totem and puts it under the bed, and then she has a pregnancy, but hey, now it's like a demon, like tainted pregnancy, one of those kind of things. Sure. So that was cool, and that one actually had a little bit of like a twist to the end of it that I didn't see coming. So that was a good one. And then the 4th episode that was different was called Feral, where a boy goes missing in the woods while a family's camping, and years later, they're still searching for him in the woods. They discover this whole group of creatures that live in the woods, and that the boy has become part of this like group of like creatures that live in the woods kind of thing. And that's where the title Feral comes from, whatever. So those 4 were cool and very unique. The other one outside of that, then they wrapped the season by going back to Murder House again. So out of 7 episodes, 3 of them were at Murder House. I didn't love that idea. I would rather have these standalone one-offs. I thought those were good. The cool thing was they ended the season with like a little different take on it. It was somebody creating a video game of Murder House. And then while doing the research, they actually ended up burning down the house and destroying it. So now we're not going back to Murder House again. They've effectively destroyed it from their lore. So that was kind of original and different. Overall, not the greatest season because of like 3 out of the 7 I didn't love. It's kind of half and half. But it's cool. It's a cool new concept. I'd like to see them keep doing this, especially if they're going to get different directors, different voices in that way. I think that's smart.
Okie dokie.
So, yeah. Let's go on to another show that you actually got a chance to watch as well. And I know I just said something that I'm going to put my foot in my mouth on because I said if you give me a great cast and whatever, and it's a limited series, I'm going to want to watch this all day. Let's talk about 9 Perfect Strangers, or whatever it's called.
Great cast, limited series, only 8 episodes, drops on Wednesdays on Hulu, just to funk you up a little bit. Kidman, Melissa McCarthy, Michael Shannon, Luke Evans. Stop me when I get to a bad name here. Samara Weaving. I mean, it's loaded, absolutely loaded. Bobby Cannavale with a phenomenal beard. Absolutely fantastic beard.
Regina Hall. I love seeing Regina Hall pop up and things, too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'll ask you right now, are they all dead?
I don't know about that. I haven't really.
Okay.
I guess I haven't pondered that yet. And I only watched the first 2. I think they dropped 3 right off the bat, right?
I've seen 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I only got a chance to watch the first 2. My take so far is just it's fine. It's fine. I like the cast a lot. I'm going to keep watching it. It's only 8 episodes, whatever. But it's very meandering, and there is mystery to it, and it's just like, is there too much of a cast maybe? Maybe did we go too big? Like, I just want to have a central focus of what we're doing here, and I feel like there's too many storylines that I'm getting a little bit like, I don't love it, but it's intriguing, I guess.
Kidman runs a resort, folks, for these people to get away. They gotta check out of life, pretty much. No phones, no electronics, etc. Get away from that. But each of these characters, folks, has mental issues. Some type of breakdown they had recently, some type of trauma. They gotta cleanse and be reborn. And a lot of that from Kidman is like, I was almost died, and now I'm reborn. So there's like some trippy stuff in there. And with each character, you get like a weird flashback to this traumatic incident, what happened to them in the past, that now they gotta go through. I think it's interesting that like they had to take all of their blood and they get a smoothie every day that is exactly fit to their biochemistry. So I think there's something weird in there.
Yeah, you might be selling me on this a little bit. Because I guess when I watched it, I was just a little spaced and I wasn't really paying attention to that stuff and like the overall. So I do hope that by the end of the 8th episode, there is something grandiose to it and I'm going to be blown away by, oh, cool, that's what they were doing all along. So now you're making me feel a little bit better.
The text message, Kidman got the text message. Did you get that up? I can't remember if that was in 2 or 3.
I don't remember. If I did, I would.
Kidman gets a random text that says congrats.
Oh yeah. She thinks somebody's after her or something, right? That whole thing. Yeah.
But it says congrats. This is your phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, folks, there's something here. Like over the next couple of episodes, they're going to reveal something bigger, where it's just kind of like, what did happen to all these people? What is one of those connective things? Like maybe they're all connected type. But it's weird. I'm with you. Like I'm not loving it. Yes. But there's enough for me to be like...
It's intriguing enough. If you know you're only getting 8 episodes, it's intriguing enough.
Also, go watch Michael Shannon as General Zod, and then watch him in this. He plays the nerdiest dad, cargo shorts, sandal and socks, like this goober dad. And he's fantastic. He's great. He's great.
I can't wait till we get to do our spotlight on him because he is so good. I will say a couple other things I wanted to shout out, though, from the show. Samara Weaving did like a physical transformation for this. I don't know if you caught, like, the way she looks, like her cheeks are real pulled back. They said she was wearing wires where they, like, pulled her cheeks. She has fake teeth. She has fake teeth in. They said her phone wouldn't unlock.
That's funny.
Didn't recognize
ID wouldn't recognize her.
So I thought that was
cool. I noticed
cool.
The teeth. I thought something was off about the teeth. I was like, I don't think her teeth are like that.
Yeah, because I was like, ooh, because she's supposed to be that really vapid, self-involved, influencer type, whatever. They said Nicole Kidman did a lot of method acting on this, and while she was on set, she stayed in character and would not talk to anybody outside of her character. So that was kind of interesting. I will shout out also Tiffany Boone. We've talked about her before. She's a Baltimore native. She plays one of the workers at the spa. And she was in like Hunters, I think you watched. And then she was in that Little Fires Everywhere show.
Okay. And her birthday was just 2 days ago, now that I'm looking at her. Happy birthday, Tiff.
I think she's a good up-and-coming actress. I want to keep watching out for her and seeing her do more. As well as Manny Jacinto, who plays another one of the workers at the spa. He is great in The Good Place. I love The Good Place, and he's Jason in The Good Place, which he is a completely different character than what he's doing here. I didn't even recognize him on this show. Couldn't believe it was him, so good job on him.
Okay, nice.
This is created by David E. Kelley, who did like Doogie Howser way back in the day, and he's done Big Sky, which is still out now. Like, he has his hand in everything, as well as being based on a novel by Leanne Moriarty, who wrote Big Little Lies, which was also a David E. Kelley and Nicole Kidman project. So they were like, let's get some lightning striking again. So a lot of good names involved in this. I will say I saw this morning a headline that this is the most watched original Hulu program ever. So, we must be in the minority. People are loving this, and they are tuning in to the 9 Perfect Strangers. Like I said, it's fine. It's intriguing, but I don't love it. Yeah.
There you go. I'll be with you on that one. We're not going to get, what are we at? Episode 259 will be our full season recap review. So you have until then to catch up. It's only 8 eps. They're 45 minutes each. All right, moving along. So, American Horror Story again?
Yes. Now this is... So they wrapped up they gave us that little like palate cleanser appetizer for the summer, those quick little 7 episodes, standalone thing, because they knew the regular season was coming back. So this is the 10th season of American Horror Story, a long-running franchise from Ryan Murphy on FX. And each season has a focus, is the way that they've always done this. This season, however, was titled Double Feature. And it was very quiet as to what was going on. They didn't really show any artwork, any advertising until just the last couple weeks for it. And then when they did, people were like, what the fuck is this? This is so weird. Because it's like an alien and a vampire, and they're like making out, and they're like, what is this? What is this show? So it is called Double Feature, but then when you watch the first 2 episodes that they dropped, it says American Horror Story Red Tide. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought you said it was called Double Feature. Come to find out, Ryan Murphy has split this season into 2 separate stories as well. So we're getting 6 episodes focusing on these vampires in this New England town, and it's called Red Tide. It has very much like a Shining vibe, like a writer has gone off to this cold environment to write his magnum opus, but instead now there's vampires around. It has that kind of thing going for it. Finn Wittrock is starring in here with Lily Rabe. They're like kind of the couple that's like the main crux of the show. I love Finn Wittrock. I've said it before. I don't understand why he doesn't do like big movies. I haven't seen him. I think he could be a big movie star. I could see him tomorrow in like a DC or Marvel film leading it, and I don't understand why he isn't doing that with his career, because I think he's good. I think he has that look. So he's good here. And then our regulars that are always part of American Horror Story are back. Sarah Paulson, Evan Peters, Francis Conroy. They're always in American Horror Story. So they're back playing different characters as usual. Every season they get the chance to do that, which is great. It's a lot of fun. If you like this show, it's tried and true. I'm a fan. I always like it. Some seasons I like more than others, whatever. So this is the first 6 episodes they're going to focus on. 2 are available right now. Then the final 4 episodes of the season are going to deal with the other part of the double feature, and that is going to be in a desert with aliens. So I look forward to seeing what that's going to do. And then I think even some of these actors who are in these episodes are going to be in those episodes, but now playing another character. So it's just fun. That Evan Peters, Sarah Paulson, I think in particular, love to do this and just do all these different roles, and I watch it for all of them more than anything. And then I will also shout out Macaulay Culkin is in this season, and this is his first time being part of the American Horror Story stuff. So he's very interesting. His first episode in, I was like, wow, okay, cool. Cool to see Macaulay Culkin back and doing something completely different than you remember from Home Alone. So
very cool.
So,
his birthday. I was just saying, his birthday was the other day. Did you see him with the mask?
Oh no.
He had a mask, but it was of the from Home Alone or whatever, and he just put a picture of him with the mask on. So humorous. Anyway,
I'll say if you're a fan of American Horror Story, though, you're going to watch this anyways. I'm not going to convince somebody to try it for the first time, but if you like this stuff, it's there, and I'm glad to have another season back. So
I see. Okay, we used to have a segment on our show called Happy Accidents quite some time ago. It wasn't actually on the show. It would be after the show released. Then Roy from the Realm would go through, and all of the notifications we got from people saying, hey, you effed this up and said the wrong actor's name, he would then put a social media post like, hey, we made this boo-boo.
Which we still get to this day. We still get text.
Just got that text 2 days ago.
Screwed something up.
At least we stopped doing it to each other.
Yeah.
Either way, there's a show out right now called Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Money and Greed, Happy Accidents.
Betrayal and Greed. Yeah. This is a documentary, one-off documentary on Netflix. I think it was about an hour and a half, roughly. And this is looking back at Bob Ross and what he did, his show and his painting stuff, the happy little trees and all that. Everyone knows Bob Ross. Everyone loves Bob Ross. I feel like the weird thing about this documentary that I guess I had to think about myself is most people didn't know Bob Ross died like over 20 years ago. There's a lot of people who still thought he was alive recently, you know. And so this gets into the fact of the business side of Bob Ross. And he had very early on some business partners who basically tricked him into stealing away his likeness and his signature and merchandising the hell out of him. And then once he passed away, that's what happened. They own all of it, and his family gets none of it. So they interview his wife, his son that are still alive. They've been trying to sue to get back the rights from this family called the Kowalski family, which were his business partners early on with the show. And they basically tricked him on his deathbed to get rid of his likeness and all that, and they own everything. So it made me double think about things I bought now, because I know my son has like a Bob Ross thing. I'm like, I'm contributing to this shitty family, and his family isn't seeing it. So that sucks. That sucks that his legacy is that he, people recognize it, and I feel like in recent years it's become even bigger, and they're selling stuff all over the place, but it's not his family benefiting from it, which is unfair, and it sucks. So it was an interesting documentary to watch in that way, just to find that information out. And it made me miss him. I feel nostalgic for him. I watched it a little bit when I was growing up and whatever. Everybody did.
Sure.
And everyone recognizes Bob Ross and loves him. So I almost feel like this should start a movement like that Free Britney. Like we need to, give Bob Ross's family their due.
Release Ross.
It's a terrible hashtag. But somehow they need to get what's due to them, the family, because this Kowalski family, they're really raping his legacy and just making money over it, and that sucks.
That does suck. That's a bummer. I'm with you. I will not buy Bob Ross things until that money goes to the family. That's a bummer.
There you go. And so the one thing was the son goes and tries to sue for it, and he found some paperwork in a house in a box somewhere that said that his dad had set up a trust for him and that he and his uncle actually owned the rights. So they went to the court to try and argue that. Come to find out that the uncle had signed that away to this family without him even knowing.
No,
so then it was also the uncle kind of screwed the son in a way too. So it's really it legally is correct what's happening, but it just sucks that the son and the mom and whatever, they don't get any of that money.
Golly.
It's a decent little quick documentary if you're interested.
Netflix, right? Netflix.
Yep.
Okay, more Netflixing. We talked to you guys about Untold, The Malice at the Palace 2 weeks ago. Last time we were together. That was an episode.
It's fine,
Whatever. 2 more have been watched. I watched.
Now, what did you watch?
Christy Martin.
How fantastic is the Christy Martin Untold?
So
I freaking love this episode.
I feel like this is a story that if you pitch the script to some Hollywood producer, they'd be like, get out of here. This isn't true. We could never sell this. This would never happen in real life. What happened to this woman?
Well, so
Insane.
it's called Deal with the Devil, right? And I didn't really know Christy Martin or I remembered her being a thing, but I didn't know the whole backstory, whatever. So
Same.
you go in and you watch the first half hour of this, and it's very normal. It's here's her rise. She trained. She was a female fighter, blah, blah, blah. Then about halfway through this thing, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Basically, she loses to Layla Ali, gets a concussion, becomes addicted to cocaine, does strap-on videos with her husband, wants a divorce, almost dies, gets attacked, stabbed, shot, breaks her hand in her comeback fight after training with the bullet still in her back, goes into surgery, has a stroke, and now she's hooking up with a former opponent. What? This story is insane. I freaking love this story. It was so good. It truly
you even left
out
shit. You left out a bunch of good shit too. Yeah.
And also, when you start the show, I guess I didn't think about this, but when you start the show and one of the people being interviewed is in a prison jumpsuit, you should know you're in for a wild ride.
Right.
This is great. Yeah. So I loved it. This is truly Untold, like Malice at the Palace. We didn't really learn much. I learned a lot about Christy Martin, and it was very interesting.
Her ex-husband is a piece of work. This guy, he is quite the character. Is still quite the character. Love the dad at the end. If he gets out when he's 92 and I'm still alive, that son of a bitch will be alive. But if I am, he'll never walk again. I was like, I love her dad. That guy's awesome. He's just as angry as everybody else. This is one where I almost don't want to talk too much about it because I want people just to go watch it. Because the whole time your mouth is going to be... The wife came down and she's like, what girl spot? What do you... I was like, you don't know Christy Martin? And it didn't register. Christy Martin.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember Christy Martin from the boxing, and then Layla came in, and because of her, and then Tyson comes on, she was like, well, why is Mike Tyson in this?
I was the same thing. I was like, that's awesome that they even got him to do it, though.
I was like, he's an expert analyst on boxing and concussions, maybe? But
she served as his undercard a couple times.
It
right?
was, and I remember that. I remember her fighting in that undercard.
The first big one, right? Yeah.
And because then nobody talked about Tyson. The next day they were talking about, dude, did you see that girl fight? That lady, it went 8 rounds, whatever, and it was nuts. So I actually remember that as a kid. But oh my God, the outside the ring nonsense with the dad that spars, her husband spars with her and knocks her out just to make sure she remembers who put her in
her place. Yeah.
And then he admits that. He's like, you got to bring that cockiness down a little bit. You got to show him. I was like, this son of a bitch. Yes. I love this guy. It's fantastic, folks. Untold. You have to watch it, really.
It's only an hour, maybe a little over an hour. So
just
it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. But then on the other side of the coin, we go back to Untold for Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, you watch this one, huh?
Not good, man. Not good. It's fine, but it's just a puff piece. It's a puff piece about Caitlyn Jenner. There's nothing new really here. They don't touch on really any of the controversies of Caitlyn Jenner's life. It's really a play-by-play retelling of the Olympics, of the decathlon, the 76 Montreal decathlon. Here's
So
how
it's
I
more
trained
about
for it.
It's more about Bruce, like
Most of it is about that. It's about
okay.
the training and the 76 decathlon and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, she talks a little bit about how she already dealt with identity issues before that, and maybe that was a lot of what drove her to do this, blah, 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 whatever. And she got so involved in the training, you know. So it gets into minor details about the identity issues. The most interesting thing to me was that his son was interviewed from his first marriage and talked about how his dad almost went through the change process already before he got married into the whole Kardashian crap, and I didn't know that. So he had already done some surgeries, taken some estrogen, done like electrolysis to get rid of his beard, things like that, before he even got married into the whole Kardashian family. So he was basically starting to transition before that happened.
Okay.
And then also how TMZ was basically the ones who broke it because they followed him and saw him go in to do a surgery to get his Adam's apple removed while he was married to Kris Kardashian.
No kidding.
So he was still kind of pursuing that stuff on the side. And I didn't realize that stuff. So you did learn a little bit about like the behind the scenes of the change, but there's no talk of him getting in that car accident in 2015 where he killed somebody.
Yeah.
Like, don't even reference that. That's a huge thing.
Sure.
And then wasn't it just the last governorship of California? Wasn't she running for governor? Like, there's no talk about any of that. So I was like, you could have gotten into more stuff. This was not untold at all. This was told already. We already knew about.
It should be told.
We already knew about the 76 Olympics and all that stuff. So whatever. It was fine, but I just felt like it was a letdown and probably the worst of the 3 episodes so far.
2 more episodes are coming. One actually drops as you're listening to this on Tuesday, and that one's about the Trashers, right? The Danbury Trashers, the hockey team.
Yeah, which I'm not familiar with that story, so I'm hoping that will be a learning experience. And I don't remember what the last one is either. That one's some tennis
it's
thing
Marty
or something,
Fish.
right?
Yeah, Marty Fish. But he had anxieties and things. That doesn't come out until like September 7th. I will say this, folks. On IMDb right now, Malice in the Palace is rated like a 7.5, and Christy Martin is a 7.4. That's bullshit. That's completely.
Christy Martin one's way better. Yeah.
Yes, 100% better. Easily better. All right, let's move along here, sir. Oh, Memories of a Murderer.
Yeah, another true crime corner for me today. I got a couple true crime kind of things going in here.
Chris?
It's called the Nilsson Tapes. It's kind of like its side title or whatever. So this is about a serial killer in London in the late 70s, early 80s named Dennis Nelson, I think is his name. And there was actually a show done on BBC about him, played by David Tennant, I think last year. And I never got around to watching. It was just called Des. Like he went by the name Des. I don't know, whatever. Right. But he basically was a creeper that he worked at a job center and he was trying to help people find jobs. And a lot of times these were men who were homeless or runaways or whatever, and he acted like he was reaching out to help them, but instead he was luring them to his house to kill them. And he ended up killing about 15 young men in this like 4 or 5 year period. The only reason he really got caught was because he was trying to dispose of the bodies and cutting up pieces and stuffing them down a drain. And he lived in an apartment building, and the drains got backed up, and they had to call somebody. That's really like the only reason he got caught. Wow. Because they said in this documentary, a lot of these people, like I said, were homeless, runaways, things like that. These aren't people who are going to be reported as missing, or they're not going to be missed a lot of times. So he was able to take advantage of that. Also, he was homosexual, so a lot of like homophobic stuff plays into this, where even at that time, the police were like, well, we're not going to investigate that. Like some homeless gay dude, whatever. And like a lot of the stuff was just kind of shrugged off, like, and not investigated until they finally broke open, like, when the plumber came to the building, someone was like, well, that guy upstairs is kind of weird, by the way. Maybe that's where it started. And they went upstairs and they found like humongous trash bags in his apartment full of just body parts and stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So he was just like a disgusting weirdo. But the best thing about this documentary is it's taken straight from audio tapes that he recorded himself telling his stories while he was in jail. He was working on like an autobiography to sell a book about his stuff. So it's all like a lot of it is his creepy ass voice recounting his crimes. And I was like, ooh. Like just listening to him talk about it on tape was really gross. And he's very like kind of Bundy-esque in that way, like, or actually more like Green River Killer, where he took advantage of people that people weren't going to miss and knew that and preyed on those people. And it's an interesting story. I really want to go back and watch the show that David Tennant did now and see how he portrays this character. Yeah, it was weird too because there were sometimes he was doing interviews. They were showing interviews with other people involved in the investigation, the cops and stuff, and they would actually play his version of it, like as they were saying the same thing, but you would hear his creepy voice. So it's kind of an interesting way that they did that in the production of it. I thought that played well. He died in jail a couple of years ago, so I guess that's why this is coming out now. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was... Oh, that was the other thing. Before he did this job, where he was in the job center or whatever, he used to be a cop. He was a former cop. So that was another way that they said he knew kind of like ways to get around picking these people up or not leaving evidence or whatever, not getting caught kind of thing. It's a really, really good true crime documentary on Netflix. One of my favorite ones I've ever watched, actually. It's just a one-off, hour and a half kind of thing. It's a great case, and I feel like most people don't necessarily know a lot about it. So check it out. I like it.
If he had been a plumber, he never would have been caught.
There you go.
There are times in your life when you grow up, and as big filmmaking fans that you and I are, and most of you listeners are, to a degree, if you're going to be listening to our show about this, where sometimes I'm like, I don't want to watch the behind the scenes because it's ruining the magic for me from watching it as just like a film fan or whatever. And I hit that path watching Disney Gallery, the making of the final episode of Mandalorian season 2, where I'm watching it and loving every aspect of it. But then I'm like, part of me doesn't even want to watch. Part of me is like, turn it off. Just let yourself enjoy the lore of the stuff, whatever. But
sure. Yeah, intriguing that they decided to do this and just like drop it when they did, just like randomly. Because if you remember when we watched the first season, they did that whole breakdown, like episode by episode. We loved that. Yeah. And then the second season, they were just like, one ep, here you go. That's all you're getting. Yeah. So I was left a little unfulfilled, so I'm glad they gave us more. But you're right, it does very much pull back the veil on this whole final reveal. Spoiler alert, Luke Skywalker is back.
What?
At the end of Mandalorian.
Maybe honestly that's why they waited. Maybe they're like, let's give it a couple of months. They wanted people to find out. Let's make sure. Watch it. At least we can say, hey, folks, you had 4 months to watch it. You had this much time, and go.
Makes sense. But it was crazy to see the extent that they went to try and keep this quiet and cover this up, and the whole Plo Koon character.
Plo Koon, baby, yeah.
That was smart, though, knowing that Filoni loves that character and probably did want to work him in, and then to mock up like a face and the CGI and stuff that they were working on to make it sell to the other crew members. It blows me away time and again how they can keep this stuff quiet on Star Wars. Yeah. It blows me away. So good on them. And then it gets into the weeds a little bit on the background of like deep fake and what they were trying to do. And that I think that guy that they talk about in there was the guy that they hired to work on the deep fake stuff.
Oh, that you brought up. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't know that was him or whatever. Cool. They didn't really end up using the deep fake though. But they said the technology is so close. Like they're very close to being there. And I thought it looked pretty damn good anyways, what they did.
I was fine with it.
So
you're right. Favreau dives deep in almost to the politicalness of like, what can we use this for? Who can
and are we worried about the future of it? Even with the re-speech app thing,
right?
To be able to pull Luke's voice and make him say different things. That's actually what they're doing now with Val Kilmer. Did you see that?
No.
Val Kilmer has been able to restore his voice through an AI program, where they've been able to take all the dialogue and things he said in movies, feed it into this, and then it can create like an AI voice for him.
Wow.
Insane. But how do you know who's really saying what now? You know what I mean? Like that has to be questioned.
Every person he meets is like, you can be my wingman. You can be my wingman. You can be my... Sorry.
He's like Woody. He's got a pull string.
He only has 7 phrases he can say.
Oh, that's awful.
I hate to say that because I love the Val doc. I don't mean that to make fun of that. All right, back to Mandalorian. Yes, it does go deep into there, but the Hamill stuff, like how they had to get Mark Hamill. I went to his house, and then Hamill like went in his study and read the script first, and they're just like sitting there like waiting.
And they brought the doll to him.
Yes, I'd have been drenched with sweat, like just with nerves, like waiting for Mark Hamill to come out and say yay or nay on this. And then luckily, of course, Hamill says yes, and he comes out and he loved all of it. But
how cool is that for him to be? Luke Skywalker is a great character, but for most intents and purposes, he thought he was done with it until just recently. Sure. And that's awesome now that we've had this great character for 40 years, and it just continues to grow. And I think he's doing a bang-up job with it. I'm glad they got him back on board.
And he admitted that he said to Lucas, like, we just watched the evolution of this character, and then we're done after Empire. And we've all said that at some point. Like, we don't get, like, the really good parts of Luke as a Jedi. And so he was excited to finally at least give us a little taste of that here.
Sure. I like showing us how they use Max Lloyd Jones. We followed him. Our show account follows him on Twitter, or no, Instagram, I think, right after that episode aired, because I was like, who is that did the stand-in? I want to know. We should try and get him on the show.
Okay.
But apparently Twitter wants him to just take over as
Luke.
Like, we're good. Just put him on the show. You know, you don't even need to go all that deep fake route, whatever. This guy looks good enough where you could have just done, hey, this is young Luke. And
sorry, Winter Soldier. What's that guy's name?
Yeah. Sebastian Stan, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
But if we're going to bring this character back, I'm fine with it. But good on him that they were able to get this guy who looks the same pretty much, and he did the stunt work. He did a great job, you know. So
good on him
always.
Good on him for being a team player. Like, he got hired to do that as an actor, and then you get there, and then you find out last minute, like, by the way, we're not going to see your face ever. This is going to be more,
well, you know. We talked about it with Guardians 2. The guy from Heavyweights is the stand-in for Kurt Russell. We talked about that, how he did the acting, and then they just did the Kurt Russell face over him. So this is becoming something that's going to keep happening, I guess. But hopefully it gets Max Lloyd Jones. More people know about him now. Maybe he'll get more jobs, so it's smart on him to do it, you know.
I like it.
Yeah, very cool. Check it out. It's on Disney Plus right now.
We're going to take a quick break, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed those reviews. We'll be right back.
I got a lucky number 13 for you that I can throw on here. Okay. I also watched a documentary, Wolfmans Got Nards. I forgot to mention this because I wasn't here last week, but this is the documentary about Monster Squad.
And we can call them friends of the show.
We can. Andre Gower, who actually directed the documentary, one of the stars of Monster Squad, and he's in this. He was on our show about 3 years ago, to the day almost, interviewed on here for this movie specifically. They've been slow rolling it out. They were taking it around, showing it at different theaters, all that. Now it's available on Amazon Prime. I think I had to pay $1. I think it was a $1 rental. So I was like, boom, let me watch this. Because I've been wanting to see it. I love the Monster Squad. I think it's great. And I think this doc, it's nothing special, extraordinary, whatever. Not a lot of, a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff, but not anything, too amazing. But it just gave you that nostalgia for the movie, if you like the movie, if you like the people in it, the people involved. And it really gives a voice to the fans. There's a lot of fan interviews and how much the movie means to them. And I like when documentaries do that and kind of give that little fan service thing. So if you like Monster Squad, check out the Wolfman's Got Nards documentary. Like I said, I saw it on Amazon Prime for $1. So not
Very
bad.
Nice. Very nice. Alrighty, let's roll right into our trailer talk.
Trailers for the week. Let's start off with the big one. We had 6 total, but the big one of the week, Spider-Man. Finally got that Spider-Man. You talked about it a little bit last week where it was kind of dropping as you were recording, really.
Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, we knew it was going to happen. I was saying that even during last hour, I was like, don't even listen to the words I'm saying, because by the time you folks listen to this, it'll get dropped. Sure enough, before we posted the show.
And you, I think, have had this discussion, too, where it's like, I don't even need to see it. This is one of those movies where maybe do that, Feige. Why didn't they just do that? Have some balls and just say, we're not giving you a trailer. We know you want to see this movie anyways. You're just going to go in blind. And speculation be damned. This is what everybody thinks, all these things. Go in and find out for yourself. That's what we really should have done. Because the trailer does give away a lot. It really does. And there's tons of theories and Easter eggs and all this stuff and half-second pause, everything in the trailer, one of those things.
Sure.
I think the most intriguing part of the trailer for me is the way Doctor Strange is acting. I don't know are we supposed to think that maybe is not the real Stephen Strange? Why is he so relaxed and he's in sweatpants and he's just don't worry about it. We're going to do this spell for you. That is not the Doctor Strange we knew.
Sure.
So is there more to that, maybe?
I think that's the crux of this trailer. What did, Doc Ock lands and says, hello, Peter. What Peter is he talking to? Who is he talking to? Is he talking to Tom Holland? Probably not. Probably, yeah. You know what I mean? I think that's
same thing with you got Green Goblin in here, you get Electro in here, so they've all encountered different. So obviously this leads to that. You think you're going to see different Peters. That's weird. You're going to see different Peters.
It was a great Friday night. What's his name? Juan, though. I mean, why would you fill your home with snow? Sorry, I'm a summer person. For Dr. Strange, the whole house is just, it's winter, let's make it snowy. But then he leaves, he bounces, and he's like, don't do the spell or whatever, and walks out. I was thinking, when's he going to get his own Disney Plus series? Just on him. Just give him his own spinoff. He's such a fan
apparently
favorite.
He's in Shang-Chi, so we're going to see more of him. So
that's fine by me. I think he's a great secondary character. He's fantastic.
Sure. What else did I see? There was some really silly stuff out there. I saw when Peter and MJ or whatever are on the roof, Peter's laying with his legs in such a way that people are like, oh, that looks like the Four, the Fantastic Four. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, we're not doing all this. It's so crazy. There's literally so many things you could read up on this movie and just crazy stuff. But either way, I'm in on it. It looks good. We're getting some of the old characters back. We're doing some different stuff. We're getting Doctor Strange, whatever. But the same, down notes that we had on the first 2 Spider-Man movies, why can't we have a Spider-Man movie without another character being involved? Another older mentor character. We had to have Iron Man and the other ones. Now we have to have Doctor Strange. Why can't I just have Spider-Man?
True. Yeah, I think he's beyond that. Well, so maybe after all this is done, it'll be reset. That was my other question. Like, how far down the road do we now need to go to reset? Will it be Strange Part 2 Multiverse of Madness? Will Wanda show up in this movie? We know she's in the Strange movie.
Speaking of that, that was the other thing I saw. The WandaVision calendar in the show was circled.
Brandon Davis nailed that mother effer, didn't he?
I was like, are you kidding me? Is that why they did that?
Shout out to Brandon. The heart, because the hearts came over. Shout out to Brandon Davis, huge comic book guy. If you guys don't follow him, please follow him or whatever. He's fantastic on socials. He's all about this. He gets a bunch of good interviews. We came close to booking him on our show one time, very close. Either way, he's been saying that for years. The WandaVision, the very first episode, August 23rd, had the little heart there. That's when they had that dinner party. And he's just like, I bet you that's when that trailer's dropping. And he's been saying this for a month and a half. And
that's
freaking nailed it.
Insane. That is insane. Because obviously WandaVision and what was the other thing? Loki, and then now Doctor Strange. All those things are very closely tied. And then, of course, Spider-Man is part of it, too. All of these projects are very similar in that multiverse stuff. So
do you think Feige thought that out that far in advance?
He must have, man. That's insane. That's insane. Congrats. I hate them for being so smart.
I hate them for not just going back one day.
Yeah.
August 22nd would have been insane. That would have been insane just for me.
All right. Anything else on that Spider-Man?
I'm sorry. To the trailer. Did it enhance your hype? Lower your... I mean, is there any... I mean,
I'm the same. I'm the same. Yeah, I was going to see it anyways. It didn't make me feel like, ooh, I don't want to see it. Yeah. That was the other thing. Ooh, is that Daredevil in there? The guy that's talking to Peter while he's under arrest?
The papers out.
It looks like arm, and he's wearing the white shirt. Yeah. I hate you.
He's wearing a white button-down shirt. Charlie Cox owns a white button-down shirt.
That's the only person in the history of anything that can wear that shirt. Yeah. I hate you, Internet. Stop it.
Okay, other trailers that we didn't pick apart screen by screen by screen. Yeah.
Let's go over to Netflix because they gave us 3 this week. They came out with a whole ton of information, a couple of trailers, every release date basically for the rest of the year. They're like, hey guys, here you go, here's everything. So the first one being Starling with Melissa McCarthy and Chris O'Dowd, Timothy Olyphant, Kevin Kline. This is coming out in September 24th. What do you think about this one?
Get your Best Actress nominations ready. Is that what we're aiming for McCarthy?
Maybe. I mean, it's a little early, September, but this was the one trailer of the week that got me. It got me in the feels.
Oh, I was thinking that.
I was like tearing up. I was tearing up.
I don't want. Can I fast forward through the part when they lose the baby? I don't want to watch. I don't think I want to watch this movie. But coming away from it, I'm thinking McCarthy and Kline. We might see a push for acting wise out of a trailer. Is look like what this movie might be aiming us down this road for. And we're also establishing, not that to the everyday viewer, that McCarthy is a legitimate actress. She's not just this comedian from back in the day. This lady can do, she's in 9 Strangers that we're watching. But this one,
I love O'Dowd, too. I love O'Dowd. I don't think he gets enough credit, and I think he looks great here. I will say the CGI looked really bad and strange for me. The birds or whatever looked kind of crappy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, do I want to watch these crappy CGI birds? I don't know.
Gotcha.
All right. They also gave us Guilty, like very much a tease for Guilty with Jake Gyllenhaal. This is coming October 1st. We really just hear Jake's voice and a bunch of words on the screen, but seems like it's going to be a good little thriller maybe.
Only an hour and a half I looked on this.
Oh, so nice. Well, maybe it's like a real-time thing?
That'd be wild. Jakey, only an hour and a half. Dispatcher? Netflix, it comes out October 1st. That's all you get. It's cool how as the trailer, the words of what they're saying comes on the screen. Their actual words, and then it makes his face.
Right. Yeah, that was cool. It was well done.
It's kind of neat.
You, speaking of which, you have a little visitor back there. I don't know if you
do. I? Little guy sneak in?
Yeah, he's bouncing around back there. It was funny because you were doing this with your hands, and I was like, "Oh, are you trying to crush his head back there?"
I didn't even see him. He's trying to sneak on a can.
All right. Third trailer from Netflix for the week was Power of the Dog.
That just scared the shit out of me, by the way, when you were like, "You got someone behind you."
All right, Power of the Dog, Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, directed by Jane Campion, who, one of the only female directors to win an Oscar. She won for directing The Piano back in the day. This looks pretty good, man, and I like kind of an evil Benedict Cumberbatch, it looks like.
Yeah, it didn't give us a whole bunch, Western style-ish, but yeah, it looks like he's a bad guy, like wanders into their town and they're trying to figure out what's his jib.
And this is December 1st. My only thing I don't understand is why is he whistling the Jurassic Park song?
Buddy, I thought it opens with the whistle and like the herds of whatever it was. I did the same thing. I was like, I know this tune. I'm gonna start whistling along. The other part of it was Dunst comes like running, and she like runs. She's just like Peter, like yells, and I was like,
no,
is this
that should be in your contract? Like, you shouldn't be in a movie with
another character named Peter ever. It took me right back to Spidey one. Yeah, I mean, it didn't give us a whole ton of.
This is going to be Oscar-y. This is going to be Oscar-y. I almost predict this could be like a Best Picture lineup.
Netflix is praying to God. Netflix is praying to God.
Well, they put it in December. They know they got something. We don't see previews of movies this early unless they know they got something.
That's true.
And like I said, pedigree's there with the director. It's based on a best-selling novel as well. Like, there's a lot of good stuff behind it. So I have high hopes for this one. We also got a trailer for Spencer, and this is starring Kristen Stewart as one Princess Diana. I was like, why is it called Spencer? And I was like, oh, that's her real last name. Like, you always just think of her as Princess Diana or whatever.
Princess Di. Yeah. Sure.
From the director of Jackie, I liked Jackie. I thought Jackie was actually a pretty decent movie. Most people didn't really ever catch up with it. It was kind of snubbed, but I thought that was really good. We get Kristen Stewart saying 2 words in a British accent. I guess it sounds pretty good, but it's only 2 words. What do you think? I mean, she looks the part, I guess.
I was going to say, I remember when we talked about this casting, we were like, maybe. But that was when you and I said we were all record as there's some weird off-the-field stuff with her, but I think people sleep on the fact that she is a great actress.
She has some pretty good stuff in there, just like Pattinson, where they're pigeonholed because of that Twilight stuff. And people are like, she was in Twilight, whatever. But she has some good stuff, yeah.
This might turn a few heads. I actually have high hopes for this. I bet you
this could be like a Best Actress kind of nominee if it plays right.
Yeah, November 5th we're getting this one. I agree with you. I think they're going to push hard for actress in this one.
Yep. And then the other one I sent your way kind of last minute because it came out. We would have talked about it last week, I think, is Voyeurs, which is coming on Prime. This drops September 10th. This is with our girl Sydney Sweeney, which we just talked about during our White Lotus review. What do you think about this? It looks interesting.
Oh, it does. I'm into it. Let's do it. A little wife swap action. Why not? Yeah. You come over my place, I'll send her over yours.
The thing I didn't get about this trailer, though, why did Justice Smith sound weird? Like, what was he doing with his voice?
He did go for that very deep tone.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've only really seen you in Jurassic World or Sonic, like kind of like Kiddie Fair. So is that what it is? He's trying to push like, hey, I'm a real man. I can do a real man part now. But it seemed weird to me. Oh,
yeah. Now that's it.
Now it really is scary.
Show's over. Yeah.
I love it. All right. I think that was it, though, for trailers, right?
It's a family show. Yeah. Sorry, Voyeur, Sydney Sweeney, and moves in with the guy, and then they can see the neighbors across the street, and it looks like, and the neighbors are doing like photo shoots in lingerie, and then they hook up, and then. All right, but let me ask you, real talk. Can you see in your neighbors' windows across your way?
Not really.
I mean, definitely not to the way they're in the city, so definitely you can very well.
Yeah, that was weird too. Like the one scene was it. The girl shows up at her job or whatever, and they were like, what are the odds? All the places in the world. And it's like, you guys live in the same neighborhood. It's not really that far-fetched.
Yeah, you would see each other. I don't know. So that I guess they go down the morality of, should we be looking in their windows? Well, the curtains are open. I don't know.
Yeah. Didn't we watch a short film similar to this like a couple years ago? Maybe 2 years ago for like the Oscars. I swear there was a short film that was very similar to this. Or maybe I just watched it. But it rings somewhat similar. But I like it. I'll check it out. We'll have a review that week probably.
No, it looked good. It looked much better than Lady in the Window that came with Amy Adams.
Yes.
Totally different thing. That is it for Trailer Talk, guys. Let's move on to, a little What's in the Glass. This is me.
This is you. Find your bottle in the dark there.
I have, yeah. I had to, for you YouTubers, the main reason I am doing Willet Kentucky Bourbon is because of their cool glass. Yeah, that's really
cool. Yeah.
Also choosing this the other night, the wife was going down to grab a drink, and she said, I'll grab you a bourbon. What do you want? I said, you know what? Surprise me. And she gave me this one. This one has a very distinct taste. There are some bourbons, I'm sure you feel this way about beers. you have to be a bourbon drinker to appreciate what you're drinking. And I feel like maybe with some of the craft beers, maybe you have to be a beer guy.
A lot of people don't love like sours or things like that, you know.
Sure. So I feel this is one of those bourbons. It is a straight Kentucky bourbon. Willet Distillery is where it comes from. 94 proof, 47% alcohol by volume. It's really good. I definitely can see where a casual drinker would be like, oh, that has too much of a ting at the end of it there. So maybe that's why I like it. I will say this. The Willet family goes way back to the days in England. They came over from, their family came over from London, where they were well known, established themselves. It's funny, if you read it on the website, in 1692 in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Oh.
That's now just called PG County, which is where I grew up. That's it, right? But then in like the 1700s, they moved down to Kentucky and immediately became big distillers. 1936, they opened up this specific distillery. This bottle, for you YouTube watchers, very cool. Only been around since 2008. They switched it up to this in like 2008 to kind of like mix things up and kind of have that uniqueness, brand recognition type deal.
Okay.
And it's a good bourbon to boot.
Nice, good. Okay. I'm glad you did that today because now we have we're going to have all of our segments today too. I had to twist your arm. To talk about something. So, but yeah, we're going to have every segment on here. So more editing work for you.
Let's move right into our casting couch.
Casting is busy this week, right?
We have a lot, yeah.
We
both said we have a lot, so I'm hoping we have crossover.
Yeah. Well, some of this might have been holdover for me. I had a couple things that I saved from last week, and I tried to listen back and make sure I'm not covering something you already talked about. So hopefully not.
All right.
ScarJo joins Wes Anderson film. Yay! More people that I love. I don't think we talked about that yet.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
So anytime she's involved and Wes Anderson involved, I'm pumped.
Once again, I feel bad for Wes Anderson because he does have a movie coming out in a month, but nobody cares because he has a better movie that they're still filling out the cast list for. Maybe.
Yeah. You talked about last week about Yellowstone is coming with their 4th season. They've got a premiere date, whatever. We already knew they were doing a prequel, and we talked about casting for that and stuff. Sure. I don't think we talked about, though, there's another spinoff of Yellowstone. I don't remember us talking about it.
No, not at all.
So this is called Mayor of Kingstown. And guess who's starring in it? Jeremy Renner and Diane Wiest.
Dang.
I was like, what? I don't even remember us talking about that or hearing about that. And I think it's already been shot, and I think it's coming out this fall as well with Yellowstone. So I think they're going to be like running them near the same time, like November or something. So that's interesting. Kind of casting news there. We just didn't know about it.
Sure.
There's a new Noah Baumbach film coming called White Noise. I don't remember us talking about this either. He's worked with Netflix a few times before. This is going to be on Netflix. He did, Marriage Story, the Meyerowitz thing, those couple things for Netflix. So this is a new one by him. It already stars Don Cheadle, Adam Driver, Greta Gerwig, Joni Turner-Smith, and now Andre 3000 has been added to the cast list from Outcast. So interesting cast here. They've already started filming in Cleveland, Ohio.
Ooh.
So this sounds right up my alley. All things involved in that.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake
there
it,
you go.
shake it like a polo. Keep going.
I was just letting you finish.
Just cut me off, please.
Fred Armisen has joined the cast of the Pirates Taika Waititi thing on HBO called Our Flag Means Death.
Oh, okay.
So that's cool.
Nice.
I like the Armisen. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm guessing this is really starting to lean comedic, like with the people that are involved. I'm guessing it's to be quite funny. Like maybe more like What We Do in the Shadows, but for pirates.
Well, with pirates,
yeah.
Sign me up.
It would be cool. Thora Birch has joined the cast of Wednesday on Netflix. She's going to be the dorm mother to Wednesday while she's away at Academy. So another decent name attached to that cast. Anya Taylor-Joy just wrapped up working with Robert Eggers on The Northman. She's going to work on another movie with him. They're remaking Nosferatu.
Oh.
So I love this. I love everything about this. I love all the people involved. I say bring Willem Dafoe back because he played Count Orloff, whatever, in Shadow of the Vampire, which was about the making of Nosferatu, and just get him to play the character again for this movie.
Sure.
I hope he does that because Eggers already worked with him on Lighthouse. So
they would save on makeup and hair because he looks like a vampire and she already has the pasty white skin. They're good to go.
Yes. I can't wait for this. Jacob Anderson, you may know him as Grey Worm from Game of Thrones. He's been cast as Louis in the Interview with the Vampire series on AMC, which is basically the lead character. He's like the Brad Pitt role.
Okay.
So I like that. I think that's good. I might check the show out. It sounds interesting. I like the movie. I'm interested to see how a format of a show will help. Maybe we'll get a little bit more prequelness to it. Like the movie didn't have that much of it, like life before being a vampire. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of that.
Okay, so, cool.
I think that is it for me for casting. Do you have anything else that I missed there?
Brandon Routh has been cast in the live-action Magic the Gathering show.
They're just going to sit around with cards, or? I
guess so. I guess what that's about. This is where I posted this on our socials to try and pull Roy from the realm out to try and get his thoughts on it. I haven't heard back. But it's the Ralph, whom we enjoy, and Magic the Gathering, which I've never played.
Yeah, either.
Don't go to my local comic book store shop on Thursdays. They have half of it shut down for huge games.
I thought you were like naming a project. That's actually a good name for a title for something. Don't go to my local comic book shop on Thursday. Let's write that down.
Let's write it down. Let's see. Netflix has a movie called Reptile. They've cast Benicio del Toro and Justin Timberlake.
Okay, Benicio looks like a reptile already. I don't know about Timberlake. Okay.
Under the Banner of Heaven, FX limited series. Andrew Garfield has already been cast. Now they added Sam Worthington and Wyatt Russell.
Cool. I like that.
Color Purple, we're doing a musical about. They have officially signed Corey Hawkins.
Ooh.
Just in the Heights and other things. So,
do you like him? I still have never seen Color Purple, actually.
Gasp.
Need to go check that one out.
Political thriller starring Josh Lucas and Patricia Clarkson called Lily. They've been added to lead that cast. The movie She Said. This is all about Harvey Weinstein and the sex stuff with him. Tom Pelphrey, Carey Mulligan, and Zoe Kazan.
Okay, I like that.
Like all those names. And then Jason Statham is going to be the lead in a movie called Beekeeper. And yes, playing a beekeeper.
I can't see that. That's strange.
Yep. Do you think he'll have the same contract like he had with The Rock, where he can't get punched as many times as The Rock?
I can't get stung by more than 10 bees.
I have to punch 10 of them. Yeah.
And
then lastly, I have more ScarJo for you. Apple film directed by Dexter Fletcher, who did Rocket Man, called Ghosted. This is kind of rom-commy, maybe less on the ScarJo, rom-communism. I'm into it.
There you go.
ScarJo and Chris Evans.
Ooh, it's a good couple right there.
Back together. And in this one, there'll be like a couple, in a relationship.
That's a fine match, if it's not too bold to say.
All right, that's it for our casting counts. Let's get off and let's recommend some podcasts.
All right, I have a podcast to recommend for this week. Last week while I was off, while you were off and I was at work, there was one day I was at work where I stayed an extended period of time, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to listen to a new podcast.
You say that sounds like it's a rare thing.
I downloaded 11 episodes of this podcast. It's been around for a couple months. I'm just now learning of it. It's called Did You Get My Text? And this is from one Patton Oswalt, who I love, and his wife, Meredith Salinger. They decided to do a podcast just doing what I do with my wife. I sit around and I'm like, hey, did you get that thing I sent you? Did you look at this? Whatever. Because I send her crap all day long when I'm at work or she's at work and we're never together. Yeah. And then we don't really ever get to talk about stuff. So it's like they find an hour out of every week to sit down and hash out the different either news stories that they've shared with each other or whatever. So it's just a really fun, to listen to their chemistry and their love for each other. And it really does come through in the podcast. So I think it's a fun weekly listen. I love Patton Oswalt. And it's just another little bit into his life and, kind of fun. Okay. So it's called Did You Get My Text?
We have raved about Patton Oswalt many times on the show. He seems like a guy I just want to be regular friends with.
Yes, I just want to hang out with him. I just want to hang out,
have a drink. He's not too far from us, too, right?
Well, he splits some time. He was raised here. He was raised in Sterling.
From Virginia.
So he still kind of comes here and spends some time here, but he's mostly LA-based now. Because he goes to the local comic book shop here every once in a while. They have a box set aside for him that they...
No shit.
Yeah.
So, next
and
time
then he goes to the Alamo. Yeah, I missed him the one time he was at the Alamo hosting a screening of a film, and I missed it. So, it's a shame. But he's great, and the podcast is fun, so check it out.
Awesome. We're going to take another break and be back for the final act of our show.
We still have more to do?
We have a lot more to do, actually, still. One thing that that you and I have to do physically is sign our names onto a piece of paper.
Let's do it.
Because we got our first ever autograph request. Some of you Patreon listeners, you already know this. We already talked about this before, but we got an autograph request. John, what's up, buddy? Shout outs to John. My lights are flickering again.
I love this. This is like Host, the horror movie that I love. I love it. I'm waiting for you to just be ripped away from the screen.
Yeah. Goodbye. If I could get that affected, you YouTubers, you're missing out. You need to start subscribing to our YouTube. Either way, shout out to John. We will give you some type of autograph. Any other listeners, if you want Tony and my's autographs, where I would love if we got an influx of I'll take Roy from the Realms. Can we get his signature on a magic card?
Why doesn't John sign anything?
Oh my goodness! All right, Hollywood news time.
Let's get into it. Let me start off. I'm going to make this somewhat lame.
Sad?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the sad. The big one, Ed Asner died just yesterday, 91 years old. Up, he's Carl Fredricksen in Up. He was Santa Claus and Elf. But going back even further, the guy had 5 Emmys, I think, 17 nominations, something crazy like that. He is the most honored male actor still, I think, at the Emmys to this day.
Sure. Oh, I didn't know that.
That was mostly from Mary Tyler Moore, where he played Lou, and then he also got his own spin-off show based on that character. They said that's, I think, still the only occurrence that's ever happened where somebody has played the same character and won Emmys for it as a comedy and as a drama.
Oh, really?
Because I think his show, when he did his spin-off, Lou, was a little more dramatic, a little more serious. Right. Whereas Mary Tyler Moore, he was more of like a side comedic character. So
no kidding.
That's interesting. He was actually a SAG president for a little while, Screen Actors Guild. So the guy had a crazy career. He did the animated voice for J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man animated series. Like, he's all over the place. He was in Roots. Like, he's crazy. He's one of the Hollywood greats of all time. So sad loss there for sure. Just wanted to take a second to highlight him, as well as Sonny Chiba. Sonny Chiba died last week, so it's a little delayed. American audiences are only really going to know him from Kill Bill. Kill Bill, he plays Hattori Hanzo, and I loved him. But he was a huge Japanese actor for a long time and in tons of movies, martial arts stuff, whatever. So he has a long-lasting legacy there, but I just wanted to mention him as well. I loved his role as Hattori Hanzo. It's crazy because my wife, she does hair, she bought a pair of shears, and they're named Hattori Hanzo shears.
Really?
And I'm like, that's so awesome that movie has that lasting legacy even into, like, just using scissors to cut hair.
Nice.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to highlight 2 other people just for their kind of they're close to movie importance, I guess. One being Don Everly. Don Everly died last week, 84 years old. The Everly Brothers, a lot of their songs have been in movies and been inspired and been in memorable scenes. There's been a movie named after one of their songs, Bye Bye Love. You had, Wake Up Little Susie is in movies. When Will I Be Loved? We had Tom Cruise singing When Will I Be Loved in Cocktail. What's it called? All I Have to Do Is Dream. There's a sequence where Jeff Bridges sings that in Starman. So they definitely have their footprint on movies, and their songs are important, so I wanted to mention them. As well as Charlie Watt died from the Rolling Stones, and he's 80 years old. Every movie has Rolling Stones in it, especially if it's a Scorsese movie. Scorsese made a documentary about them, and he's used Gimme Shelter was in Goodfellas and Departed. We just had Ted Lasso use a Rolling Stone song, Rainbow, this season. What else?
And talk about it. You didn't only just hear it. They discussed
the song, yes. Wild Horses from Fear. I will never forget that scene. Family Man, Beast of Burden, I think is the song that's in that Family Man.
Where she's dancing in the shower,
Fallen, Sympathy for the Devil, that is played in there, as well as Time is on My Side. They sing that in that movie. Paint It Black is big in Stir of Echoes. Like, I could name 10 to 20 other movies that Rolling Stone songs are important in. Part of it because of Scorsese, but part of it not. So I just wanted to mention both of those, music legacies and their impact on film. So
I went to Rolling Stone's website just to check their tour dates because they had mentioned they're
still touring. They're still touring, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but for at least the day, I can check again. You couldn't access their site. It was just a picture of him.
That's good.
You just went to the site. It just had like a picture of him smiling. It was a great shot, just like kind of headshotty type photo or whatever. And then you couldn't really access their site. Like, it was kind of like we're taking the day off and just
makes sense. Yeah.
Which is totally
cool. Which is weird because I don't feel like he gets enough credit as a drummer either because he's very just chill and laid back. But he is a quality drummer, and their group it's amazing that they're still around doing what they do to this day. So.
Could do Take-Two soundtracks of just all Rolling Stone movies.
You probably could. To be honest. All right, let's move on to one of the other bigger events that happened this past week was CinemaCon. CinemaCon happened out in Vegas.
Yeah.
A couple things came out of there. They actually showed Ghostbusters in its entirety to the people there, and all the reviews so far have been very glowing, very positive response to that. So that makes me very excited to see that. They also showed footage for the Batman. Apparently, we get to see Andy Serkis as Alfred for the first time in that footage. You got Matrix Resurrections. That's officially the title. They showed some footage. It does exist. So maybe it will actually come out by Christmas like it's slated to. What's his name? Neo is back. He's got long hair. He's rocking the Keanu long hair and the beard. So that's interesting. And apparently, based on the footage, he's forgotten. He's forgotten Trinity. He doesn't remember what happened or whatever. So I guess that's the angle of the movie. They showed some Jurassic World Dominion stuff with all the legacy characters, Laura Dern, all them, Sam Neill. They talk about how this is the final movie, basically, like saying, yes, this is it. They really want to like finish the story that Spielberg started. So that's some finality there. They showed 13 minutes of Top Gun. So we're verified that Danger Zone does play in Top Gun. So that's cool.
That's insane.
Some more Halloween Kills footage, Dune, a movie coming out called Ambulance with Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen. I don't remember us talking about this at all, but that's coming out. That sounds like it was pretty intense and pretty well received. They showed a trailer for The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Nick Cage, Pedro Pascal. We've talked about that a few times. So hopefully that means a trailer will be coming soon for us to see at home. There's also a movie coming out called Black Phone, which is a horror movie with Ethan Hawke as the killer. That also was well received. So a lot of cool footage shown at that CinemaCon. I know it got canceled last year, but good to see that it's back. And I'm hoping now maybe that it's over, we'll see some of that stuff sprinkle in and we'll be able to talk about it in trailer talk pretty soon. So we already talked earlier about Netflix. They dropped some release dates, some trailers. They announced Tudum. I know Roy talked about this a little bit on The Realm, so I won't spend too much time on it. But that's coming. It's a Netflix 3-hour event on September 25th on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can watch. They're going to highlight 70 different titles that they have coming. I think just between now and the end of the year, or maybe next year too, because I think Stranger Things is one of them they talked about. So similar to like your D23 and whatever. And
sure,
they already did their Geek Week thing earlier in the year, but I guess this is more just general titles. So Tudum. And do you know why it's called Tudum?
Why?
That's the sound that it makes when you start Netflix.
Tudum.
When the N shows up. Tudum.
Right.
Although I'm kind of bothered because they spell it Tudum like it's like a Mexican city, like Tulum. It's Tudum. But I'm like, shouldn't it be Tudum? T-A?
Yeah, I would have done T-A. Yeah.
Whatever, Netflix. Why don't you guys talk to us before you do these things, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
HBO has split with Amazon channels. They're not going to be allowing HBO Max through Amazon channels. So if you subscribe to HBO Max through Amazon, you might want to get that figured out and fixed and changed because you're not going to be able to do it anymore. And apparently they said this is going to affect like 5 million people. And HBO Max is fine with it. Like, we're just going to lose 5 million subscribers. Oh, well.
Interesting.
That is interesting. And I know we talked about it in the past, maybe a couple weeks ago. There was talk of Hotel Transylvania going streaming. That's officially on Amazon now. $100 million they paid for that, and it's going to be on Amazon October 1st.
Holy crap. $100 million. All right.
Yeah, I don't get it. Whatever.
There's an audience for it, I suppose. The kids. Okay.
And then the only other thing really I had Hollywood news is a couple renewals and stuff. Your Honor, which was supposed to be a limited series, is now getting another season. I guess that was received well enough with, what's his name? Breaking Bad guy? What's his name? I forget. Walter White, whatever. Cranston. Yeah, Bryan Cranston. So that's getting a season 2. Originally it was supposed to be limited, but it's getting a season 2. Kevin Can F Himself has been renewed for another season. We talked about Free Guy, possibly getting Free Guy 2. And then Manifest. They did say Netflix officially picked that up now for a 4th and final season. So they're going to do it just as a one-off to recap and finish up the show. I think it was going to be like 20 episodes too. So. Oh,
wow. Cool. Okay. Only other things I had, the American Vandal creators, Tony Yacenda and is it Don Purcell, I believe, they're going to do a similar style show called Players, but it's about esports.
Okay.
It had me until it was esports. I was like, oh, man. But it's like following this league of esports.
Hey, you love Free Guy, though. You love Free Guy.
That's valid. Maybe I could get into it. Bust out my Duck Hunt game from back in the day. Patty Jenkins, add her to the list of refusing to work with streaming. She wants all of her films to be only seen in theaters.
I saw she said something about that, and I was like, you made Wonder Woman 84. Remember that? And nobody really liked it. So do you really get to make those kind of calls? Like,
Yeah, I'm wondering the Wonder Woman 84, how that got thrown to HBO. Was this a factor here? Where is she at? She also doesn't seem like that type of filmmaker to me. She seems like a filmmaker that'd be totally cool doing a more low budget, like I don't need to be in the theaters. I can definitely do these streaming but apparently that's where her thoughts are.
okay.
And our blockbuster update of the week, skyrocketing to the top of the rentals charts this weekend was obviously what 5 films?
Twilight? I don't know.
Spider-Man. The previous 5 Spideys dominated the rental office over the weekend. Obviously, after the trailer dropped, and everybody was like, wait a second, who's that guy? And then, so they had to rent.
Guy? Yeah. I know, I thought about, you talked about it before, going back and watching them with your daughter.
Exactly.
I know my son, I think, has seen maybe one of them here or there. Like, we haven't done, like, the full rewatch of the old ones. I don't know if I want to. I don't know.
I threw on the first one, the first Toby, and she...
Maybe I should, if they're going to be in the movie. Maybe I need to, just for context.
Just for that, exactly. That was my only thought. Like, hey, you should watch these.
Maybe I'd watch part 1 and 2, and then part 1 of Garfield, and that's it.
I'm with you on that. I mean, 3 of Toby's was not great.
But is Sandman going to factor in, though? Is he going to be back?
If you watch that trailer, they showed sand, so therefore he'd be in there. Maybe. And then,
maybe I should watch that one.
Well,
but then are they going to do the different Venom? Are they going to bring Tom Hardy's Venom in?
And we know Electro. We know Jamie Foxx. We know that.
That's the thing, too. This seems like a Sinister Six, basically, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100. That's probably why I'm the most excited for this film, is because they're leading us to that Sinister Six. That was the thing about Garfield's movies that I liked, because it was leading us right to that. Mm-hmm. All right, done with all of our Hollywood news. Let's move into the DC discussion.
I have nothing, so give me some news from DC.
Did you see the picture of Circus as Alfred?
No, I didn't. I heard it was like a vest or something, and he had like a drink in his hand. I don't know.
And he looks kind of badass. It looks like he's kind of
tactical,
like Gotham. How they did that Alfred.
Or even what's his name, Jeremy Irons. He was kind of like more involved. I feel like.
True. Maybe like split those ages from the guy. I can't remember the actor's name. Forgive me, because we loved his version of Alfred, and then Irons, like kind of in that age range.
I just hope that we get a scene of him as Alfred singing "What is love, baby, don't hurt me," like he did in Black Panther, because that was amazing.
And then the CW has announced that they will have a 5-part crossover series. Starts November 16th. Supergirl, Legends.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Flash.
Do I need to watch all the rest of the show?
I don't know. From what I saw, though, I mean, they're bringing in... Ralph would be back as Adam. They're bringing in...
what's it based on? Did they say
Damien Dark. I wasn't even sure which show was going to be the crux of it. I think
like which comic story. You know what I mean? Like the other ones have been drawn from comic stories.
Couldn't even tell you. Big 5-part crossover.
I haven't watched any of Legends or Flash. I already didn't watch Supergirl. I gave up on Black Lightning too. I know your review of Superman and Lois was good, though, so that's a good
It was
sign
great.
for them,
I'm curious if they're going to hook them in any capacity, but...
They probably should.
Yes. DC discussion done. On to the Marvel Minute.
Marvel, the only thing I saw this week was that Letitia Wright was actually hospitalized briefly for being injured on the set of Black Panther 2, filming a stunt. Yeah. And this was also kind of with that confirmation of Riri Williams being in it, the Ironheart character, that it seems that she was filming with her at MIT in Boston. And I guess there must have been some kind of stunt work involved, and she got injured. So hopefully it's not too severe. I think it maybe has already passed, and she's already out, back filming. But that was a scary moment, I'm sure.
Yeah, there was a picture, I think, Saturday of her, like, back on set, not working, but at least out of the hospital. But yeah, for a minute there, I was like, whoa.
Because she's your future of the Black Panther franchise as Shuri, and possibly taking over.
Right, so. Right. And then just the other thing we've talked about 17 times already, the Spider-Man trailer, but it did have over 200 million views, breaking the record for most viewed trailer ever. I would like to backtrack on some words I said probably 15 episodes ago where I was thinking that Endgame, I still feel that'll never get beaten for an opening weekend box office. But when we're gauging monies coming out, we saw Top Gun's going to have Highway to the Danger Zone, right? Ghostbusters is being well received. I would love to be wrong now in thinking we should adjust our standard for an opening weekend box office. maybe they will come back. Maybe, this response, this is going to tell us this Spider-Man in December, a week before Christmas.
I think it's going to rely on more vaccinations in the country. Are we going to get vaccinations available for young kids, things like that, the Delta variant, all that stuff? As long as that stuff gets handled and gets done, then maybe. But you're still operating at 60% box office of where we were a year and a half ago, so I don't know.
Sure. I mean, Endgame was, what, 320, right? Opening weekend. It destroyed that record, so nothing will ever touch that. But thinking that movies can't do $100 million weekends anymore, can't do $150 weekends anymore, I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong on that.
Yes.
Done with the Marvel Minute. Folks, guess what? Done with our show. It's time to go forward.
Going forward, and that's good because I'm running out of battery, so we got to wrap this thing up here. Like you said earlier, we've got another Untold coming the 31st of August, Crimes and Penalties, based on that mob boss teen hockey thing, whatever. Check it out, and we'll talk about it next week, I'm sure, briefly. As well as the following Tuesday, the final episode, like we said, the tennis thing. So we'll review those. I think just one-offs every week. We'll kind of talk about them as we watch them. So those are both upcoming. Only Murderers in the Building starts this week as well on Hulu. I might have to check this out. This is Steve Martin and Martin Short, and I think somebody else is in it too. I forget.
Who's the girl?
Selena Gomez, maybe? I think it's Selena Gomez.
That's it. Nailed it.
I'll check it out. So maybe next week we'll have a first take on that one. That drops this week on Hulu. What We Do in the Shadows returns. I'm not going to give any kind of first take on that. I'll just wait until it's done, and we'll talk about the season as a whole. But I love the show. That returns this week to FX. Of course, we talked about it earlier in the episode. Shang-Chi is their big theatrical release this weekend. So go get out there on Labor Day weekend, make your money, shown, give some money to the box office, help them out, help those theaters that are struggling. We're also getting Netflix's new release, Worth. We talked about that in the trailers maybe 2 weeks ago with Michael Keaton and the Tooch. So that's coming out. We'll probably have a review of that one as well. Next week, I just want to get it on your thoughts, get it ahead of time, maybe DVR it, whatever. Impeachment, the American Crime Story Impeachment starts. That's like next Tuesday. So you'll already be listening to this by then. So I just want to get it out there now that's coming soon. We won't have a review till the following week on like a first take.
257. Gotcha.
So that one's coming soon. I know something else Brian's going to review this weekend.
What could it be?
Cinderella on Prime. I don't know if I can watch this one or not, if I can force myself. We'll see. But maybe we'll have a review of that next week. And then also that new Netflix documentary, Countdown Mission Space, whatever, that drops this week. But not until like Monday. So we probably won't be able to talk about that one either. We'll see.
Gotcha.
So maybe the following week or whatever. We'll see how that goes. But at the very least, we'll probably talk about Worth and Shang-Chi, Only Murders in the Building, Untold. We got a couple things right there to talk about, maybe Cinderella. So that's what you can look forward to for next week.
Take Two podcast-wise, folks, on every Thursday. That poll drops. Please vote on that. Share it on your socials if you don't mind. Get those numbers boosted up a little bit higher. Is this, if you guys pay attention to the polls, you know that, like, the beginning of a month. Are we along those lines? Maybe. That might be a hint. Maybe
yeah. Don't give away the polls, man.
Sorry, never. Spoiler. But for other Take Two podcast, Spotlight is back this weekend. Here is your hint. It is a director. The very first spin-off episode of Take Two podcast was based around a review of a movie that this guy directed.
Nice tease, yeah.
Yeah,
and before you get that one, don't forget to check out the Woody episode too, because that was a good episode. We got pretty in-depth on him. So if you haven't listened to the Woody yet, go listen to the Woody.
Got our Woodies in depth, for sure. Other than that, folks, if you don't mind, a rating or review would be fantastic. We'd love just a quick 5-star rating if you want to drop a quick review on there. Really, it does help the show grow, and we'd be much, much appreciative towards that. Maybe we'll send you an autograph. Huh?
Yeah, you know what? Or I just thought about this. We do have a couple coffee mugs sitting around that we haven't decided what to do anything with. Here you go. I'm throwing this out there now, last minute. If you go subscribe to our YouTube and you leave us a review, rating and review, screenshot those, whatever, or email us that you did it, whatever, you're going to be put into the running for a coffee mug. Take Two coffee mug.
I'm going to go do it myself.
There you go.
All right, thanks for sticking with us, guys. We appreciate it. Episode 255. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya. That's not too bad.